Hello and welcome to Warhammer Wednesday. This is going to be my full review of the full range of Genestealer Cult models. Genestealer Cult's models sort of started way back in February, March time of this year. They brought out the Deathwatch Overkill box set, which had some beautiful miniatures in. Specifically this Patriarch model here, sort of like a huge Genestealer with spikes, just excellent model. It also came with a lot of other Genestealer Cult models, which I didn't know I had this many. I honestly didn't. And there are 69 models right here. Honestly, didn't think I had 69 Genestealer Cult models, but there we go. So they brought out the Deathwatch Overkill box set, had the Patriarch in, had the Primus and the Magus. Absolutely lovely models. People have done some fantastic paint jobs on them. It even came with two Pure Strain Genestealers, which are old models, but they're still good ones. I'm definitely going to pick up a couple of box sets of these so that I can make that formation and add to this army, because if you look at it, it's mainly sort of hybrids, and there's quite a few sort of acolytes in there too. I didn't fully appreciate just how many acolytes you get in the Overkill box set. You get 12 acolytes in that Overkill box set, which in the Metamorph set you can buy, you get 5 for £25. So in a way, that's already what, 55 quid, something like that, for the 12. I mean, yes, of course they don't have the same upgrades and things, but honestly, there's nothing really stopping you from using some of the spare parts and things on the set that comes with the Overkill. I would have preferred if they did it in reverse, because the Overkill models were sort of unipose. They didn't give you much options to change the look of the models. That goes with the Space Marine Deathwatch models in that set too. But if they brought it out in reverse, you could have done some modification. You could have put different claw sets and Metamorph talons, different heavy weapons and things with the Overkill models. And likewise, that's the similar sort of case with the Stage 3 and Stage 4 hybrids too. There's a bit of modification in terms of weapons. You could put las guns on them. Heads wise, we could have changed the heads, because over here this is the Overkill box set, and you can see I've got mining lasers for these guys, and then over here this is the new box set, which I'm a big fan of, and there's the sort of seismic cannon. Quite similar, but there you go. I think that's probably a better sort of comparison. So one on the left is Overkill, the one on the right is the new box set. They look very similar. There's also a couple models in here that come with the Goliath truck. It's £35, but you can make two additional sort of hybrids out of them, and they are these, and this guy's lobbing the cache of demolition charges, which is excellent. So I've just put them on those bases. Also got a Acolyte Icon Ward in here, which counts as a separate HQ sort of choice, and if used in the right formation, he can buff 24 inches worth of models with Feel No Pain, Furious Charge, and all those kind of things. Also there's Aberrants. They don't do a separate Aberrant box set. I'm really hoping that they do at some point, but I've got 4 Aberrants in here, and the Overkill set is really just the only way you can get them at present. But if you're wondering what they look like, they're these with the power picks. Well, there's power hammer and a power pick there. And then in the back here, we've got the Cadian box set, which is just the same Cadian set that we all know from sort of a decade ago, with a heavy weapons team just chilling out with a lance cannon. But it's just got that Tyrannid upgrade sprue with all the different heads and the sort of Genestealer Cult accessories, you know, like the cult knife and little grenades and things like that. I think it's been a fantastic release. If you were to get the Codex, the Overkill set, and then mix and match what units you like, then very soon you'll have quite a substantial force. With the Overkill set, you've pretty much got 2 squads or 1 large squad of acolytes. You've got a decent sized squad of hybrids. You've got your Aberrants. You've got your Brood Coven. Patriarch with the other HQs, and you can mix and match really all those different squads. To bump up your army, it's up to you whether you want to bump it up using the new hybrid box set. I would. It's a lovely box set and it really works well with the overkill models. I'd go against sort of Lehman Ross's and Cadian squads and things with the heavy weapons team because, well, just in my opinion, just doesn't fit the feel of the army. I think the army's a very guerrilla tactics, sort of emerge from the shadows, fire a heavy weapon or two, everything sort of portable, fast attack in terms of, Goliath trucks, deep striking and infiltrating. That's sort of like the feel for the army. And big tanks and heavy weapons teams, just in my opinion, just doesn't suit it. So you may be put off by the Cadian box set, but all of the others work very well. Even the Acolytes in the Overkill set work well with the Metamorph set. I couldn't really tell just from looking at them. But I mean, here's the actual leader of the Metamorph set with this Imperial Guard skull on there. And here's one from the Overkill set. There's not much difference in sort of detail and things. If you paint them correctly, they're just going to blend right in. I'd say things that work well, the Overkill hybrids and the new box set of hybrids, and also the Acolytes sets work well, and obviously the HQ works well. And the Rock Grinder, have a couple more Goliaths in there, and you've got a pretty decent army. Just waiting on the Aberrants for them to release them separate at some point. Codex is lovely. I brought out my review of the Codex. Took me a long time to do that. I really like the Codex. I really like all the little special rules and things. Not for the faint-hearted or newcomers of 40k. Definitely for sort of more experienced veterans of games and all the rules to take on board. But it gives you plenty of options and lots of new ideas how to use this army and to best use it effectively. Nothing in this army is extremely amazing, except for sort of just ambushing. The weapons are good, but you need to really delve into the different types and what sort of damage output they give you. But their saves aren't that good. Their leadership is not too bad. Their weapon skills, quite decent. They've got a few things that have 2 wounds, and they've got a few nice special rules for their melee weapons too. But you really have to sort of dig and find out what suits you. And if you're going up against an army that's sort of all armour, like an Imperial Guard army, or if you're going up against Space Marines that are in drop pods, it's going to be difficult for you to use these guys effectively. There's no units in this that are sort of really high points cost either. There's nothing like a Castellan Maniple or Imperial Knight sort of allied sort of detachment kind of thing. There's nothing sort of big and scary with this army. It's very sort of, it reminds me a lot like Skitarii, but without the cooler special rules and things. Quite vulnerable, but they've got good special rules and buffs to bring them up to speed, but they just can't handle the bigger units and the bigger point monstrous creatures and things that are out there. I mean, you put this army against an Imperial Knight army that could just have like 3 Imperial Knights, you're buggered, mate. You put it up against a Space Marine army that's all in drop pods. Again, it's going to be difficult for you to use these effectively. Also, it's going to be sort of difficult against quite agile armies, sort of like Eldar. I mean, yes, they're going to appear and cause a lot of damage, but will they get away in time before other Eldar units can flank them and give them support? And also Eldar weaponry, need I say more? Tau, I think they'd work quite well against ambushing and all the rest. And Orcs, I think they'd work very well against. Some Space Marines too, but it's a very niche army. It'll ambush enemies, try and cause a fair bit of damage. Good assault. Also, you can go back into the shadows. They haven't really got a lot of good vehicle support. The Rock Grinder has some excellent things on it, but this army shouldn't be relying on 1 or 2 of these as too much support. They haven't got amazing armour. They should be playing to their strengths, this army, in popping out of the shadows, attacking, maybe assaulting too, but just not hanging around. This army is not a good army to have all out there on the battlefield, and your player gets the first turn and shoots it all to smithereens. That's not this army. This army isn't an army that you can move it all up as one. or have some units move around for another place and some try and flank. It's not that kind of army, and it's not the kind of army that can sit back and shoot. You're going to need to really read up on all your rules and have some tactics before you use them and go into battle. And in conclusion, I think it's just a fantastic army. I think there's a lot of scope for tactics, a lot of scope for narrative-based games. The rules are very good if you can use them effectively. They'll be great to paint too. Really fun to paint and fun to play. Like I said before, they're not one of these armies you sit back and just shoot the crap out of the opposing player. It will really work well on sort of city boards and cityscapes where they can just pop out of nowhere. But really great release, lovely models. Just wish they'd brought some more different models in maybe. Rock Grinder as lovely as it is, and the box sets as lovely as they are. I think the Rock Grinder was slightly overpriced. I think the Metamorph was slightly overpriced, but I love the hybrids. I think they're spot on with the shotguns and super shotguns, and I love the HQ. I think you can get these separate now as well. Do I like it as much as the Deathwatch release? That's the question. I mean, I absolutely love that Corvus Blackstar Flyer, absolutely love it, and I love all the different Space Marine weapons and things. But I think this is almost as strong release as the Deathwatch models. What are your thoughts on this release? I'd like to hear it. Put it in the comments below. Do you think they've done it justice? Are you still screaming, "Where's my limo?" Put it down below. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for watching. The Emperor Protects.